So Caitlin Clark appears on the Bird and Taurasi show, and there is a lot of fun banter that comes out of it, including Taurasi herself calling out reality is coming.
Diana Taurasi once stated, "Reality is coming for Caitlin Clark." Do you recall that? When Clark made an unannounced appearance on Taurasi's show, that reality hit. The tension that was expected turned into something extraordinary. During their conversation, WNBA veteran Diana Taurasi, who had earlier appeared to discount Clark's abilities, dramatically changed her mind. She directly referred to Clark as remarkable. What should have been an uncomfortable interview turned into a sincere moment of admiration between the two celebrities. Viewers were left wondering, what exactly did Clark say that made Taurasi appear to reconsider her previous comments? After seeing the unexpected transformation, the response provides a wealth of information about both participants.
Unfortunately, reality is coming to me now.
Regretfully, I am now facing reality. Recall Diana Taurasi's well-known remarks that ignited basketball Twitter. Let's revisit the point at which the WNBA legend and college basketball's biggest star became one and the same. It all began when Scott Van Pelt asked Diana Taurasi a straightforward question on how this year's newcomers, notably Caitlin Clark, would make the move to the WNBA during what appeared to be a typical ESPN broadcast. Rather than delivering the expected response, Taurasi did so with a unique assurance that reality would soon arrive. Nobody anticipated the inferno that those three comments immediately generated, which laid the groundwork for the generational conflict in women's basketball.
There's more than just that are coming. What will the league have in store for them when they get there?
Look, SVP, reality is coming.
Okay.
There's levels to this thing, and that's just life. We all went through it.
Of course.
And you see it on the NBA side, and you're going to see it on this side, where, you look superhuman playing against 18-year-olds, but you're going to come with some grown women that have been playing professional basketball.
The basketball community was split right away. As Clark broke college records, led Iowa to the NCAA tournament, and emerged as the face of women's basketball, fans hurried to protect him. Taurasi's remarks were made at the same moment when Clark broke attendance records and gave the women's game unheard of attention.
A lot of Caitlin Clark fans thought that Taurasi was diminishing Caitlin Clark's ability to accomplish things and any sort of dominance that she might have that would translate over from her college career into the pros. As in college, nobody was doing what Caitlin Clark was doing. And the thing is nobody was doing the things Caitlin Clark was doing at the WNBA level too.
Many Caitlin Clark supporters believed that Taurasi was undermining her potential for success and any dominance she might possess that would carry over from her time in college to the professional ranks, because in college, nobody was doing what Caitlin Clark was doing, and the problem is that no one was doing what Caitlin Clark was doing at the WNBA level either. Debate sprang out on social media, with Team Taurasi members claiming she was just being truthful about the career change. They would claim that the WNBA is an entirely distinct sport. Others had a different perspective, speculating that Taurasi might feel intimidated by Clark's widespread nil deals, media attention, and popularity, which had revolutionized women's basketball.
I think that because it has been such a significant change for so many people, Taurasi just kind of assumed, it's going to be hard for her.
The alleged rivalry extended beyond basketball. Taurasi represented the WNBA's elder guard, the veterans who had spent years fighting for acceptance. Every possible encounter between Clark and the sport became the focus of considerable discussion, since he represented new vitality and brought it into the mainstream. Basketball fans were shocked when it was revealed that Caitlin Clark will be appearing on the Bird and Taurasi show. Why would Clark have a conversation with someone who had doubted her ability to succeed professionally in the future? Everyone anticipated friction and maybe conflict.
And I think a lot of fans were surprised by Diana Taurasi's comments after Sue Bird had announced that Caitlin Clark would be on the show. She talked about how Caitlin's grown, and she even said, "Boy, Caitlin's great."
Additionally, I believe that many fans were taken aback by Diana Taurasi's remarks following Subbird's announcement that Caitlin Clark would be appearing on the program. She mentioned Caitlin's growth and even said, "Boy, Caitlin's great." The scene was set for what many people expected to be an awkward meeting. Would Taurasi go back and review her comment on reality? Would Clark stand up for herself? As these two superstars, who were separated by generation but linked by their influence on the game, got ready to face each other, the basketball community held its collective breath. However, instead of the spectacular confrontation that everyone had expected, we witnessed something unexpected, and fans were forced to reevaluate all they believed to be true about this purported rivalry after witnessing Clark's surprise calmness.
All right, guys, I don't know if you saw, but this is turning into a little bit of a blowout. A little bit of
Oh my God.
We are going to take a look at some memories. Caitlin versus Dee in the All-Star game in Phoenix. As Diana likes to call it, the ultimate.
That's the setup game.
Everyone appeared to hold their breath when Clark first appeared on that Zoom call. At first, she seemed reticent and was picking her words carefully. As Clark cautiously made his way through those first few minutes, the basketball community watched closely, wondering if this would turn out to be the awkward confrontation that supporters had been waiting for. Then, an unforeseen circumstance occurred. Diana Taurasi, who had earlier dismissed the rookie's move to the professional ranks of basketball, began admiring Clark right once. She was described by the WNBA veteran as amazing and extraordinary, a total reversal that took everyone by surprise, even Clark. What may have been a tense exchange was made truly friendly by Taurasi's warm welcome.
What was it like for you two to play against each other?
It was amazing. You know, I've been following Caitlin for so long and been watching her college career just in awe, and to be on the court and, you know, the first game was in Phoenix and it felt like the last game that was ever going to be played. There was such anticipation. The crowd was going crazy. All the people that came out to see Caitlin and you know, our teams play against each other. It really was an amazing moment. And you talked about how, you know, if you could play against anyone that is this new generation. So I got to cross paths with Caitlin, at least for a couple games. And to me, that meant a lot.
Taurasi didn't recoil when the iconic reality is coming remark surfaced, possibly the most contentious moment of the previous season. Instead of becoming defensive, she made a joke about herself. Regretfully, I am now facing reality. The suspense vanished with one single line. Whatever uneasiness remained soon disappeared as Taurasi and Bird burst out laughing.
And I, for one, was just waiting for the reality is coming nod. I thought maybe Caitlin Clark would use her like dry-witted sense of humor to call it out, or that Diana Taurasi herself would make some sort of like wisecrack, which is exactly what happened.
Throughout the interview, Clark's confidence clearly increased. Her initial hesitancy subsided as she became more at ease with the WNBA luminaries. She changed her body language. Her answers started to get impassioned. Additionally, she started conversing with two legendary basketball players on her own. It was like seeing a novice get her bearings in real time.
And all we heard that whole week was like, Indiana, they don't get along, you know, all this. And I'm like, great. And then I'm like, this is the most together team I've ever seen.
And all we heard for that entire week was that Indiana and they don't get along. And I thought, wow. I thought, this is the most cohesive team I've ever seen. The most telling moment was when Clark said, better than playing with us, in response to a question about playing Taurasi on the court. This astute remark made reference to their most recent game against Taurasi's Phoenix Mercury, in which Clark assisted in leading the Indiana Fever to overcome a double-digit deficit. She established her credentials with dignity and without bragging. The quintessential competitive confidence provided at the ideal moment.
Great game. Honestly, I'm pretty sure we were down like 10 or 15 and came all the way back and won. That was like our first like win versus a team that was above 500. So thank you. I appreciate that.
What started out as maybe awkward television turned into an interesting conversation between basketball generations. Instead of seeing hostility, viewers saw respect for one another grow in real time. Beyond media narratives, the conversation flowed seamlessly between lighthearted times and smart basketball discourse, demonstrating that these are just two competitors with elite-level game knowledge. A significant aspect of Clark's personality was demonstrated by her cool-headed management of what would have been an embarrassing confrontation, a maturity that matched her basketball prowess. Instead of being scared by Taurasi's presence, she showed that she was comfortable conversing with the greats of the game both on and off the court.
court.
I thought it was very interesting, just the dynamic of how Caitlin Clark balances being so well media trained and so well spoken and classy with also being such a kid. And I think it's that composure, what she does on the court, with how she handles herself off the court, that really propelled Caitlin Clark into the phenomenon that she is.
Just the way Caitlin Clark manages to be both such a child and so well-spoken, sophisticated, and media-trained struck me as being really intriguing. And I believe that Caitlin Clark's poise on and off the court is what really made her into the phenomenon she is today. The basketball community was preoccupied with the possibility of conflict between these two stars, but they totally overlooked what really matters. The time when Clark viewed Taurasi as a mentor who could help her navigate the league rather than as a competition.
Hard to stop all of that. So I think if one of their players can get hot here and give them a little spark, I think would be great. But yeah, and then obviously having Camilla, like that made it.
And since it's difficult to stop all of that, I believe it would be fantastic if one of their players could get hot here and give them a little spark. However, it goes without saying that having Camilla like that made it in what may have been the most eye-opening part of the entire interview. Clark seized the chance to learn from one of the best players in history. With sincere interest, she turned to Taurasi and asked the legend what guidance he would provide to someone just beginning their WNBA career. In doing so, Clark acknowledged Taurasi's experience and demonstrated his readiness to pick up tips from someone who has gone where she wants to go. And in answer, Taurasi played for as long as she could with 3 straightforward words that said a lot.
What's your big plans? What are you going to do?
You know, I keep telling Sue I thought I was going to have all this time to do all these things. I'm more busy now. So if I give you any advice, play as long as possible.
We'll see. We'll get to 10 years.
This knowledge was based on 20 years of work experience. Clark's talent was acknowledged, effectively informing her that she possesses the skills necessary to leave a lasting impact in this league. What many had viewed as a rivalry was given greater significance by Taurasi's sincere and respectful delivery of those comments. Someone like Taurasi, a player who has ruled the league for 20 years, is carrying the mantle from one generation to the next. This tip is extremely important. She recognizes that women's basketball has a new star who has the ability to reaching the same heights as her when she encourages Clark to stay. It's confirmation from a professional who has seen innumerable players.
Now, in the interview, Caitlin Clark let it be known that she's only going to receive 2 technical fouls going into the start of the 2025 season. I'll see how long that lasts, but I'm telling you right now, it was a very interesting time on this show, and quite frankly, it was lit.
That's correct. When Clark brought up her intention to receive just 2 technical fouls in the forthcoming season, the topic of conversation lightened. A remark that made everyone laugh, this epiphany demonstrates that Clark retains her sense of humor despite comprehending the emotional intensity of the professional game.
Caitlin, how excited are you for this next WNBA season? New head coach and Stephanie White. You added Natasha Howard, who Sue knows really well, DeWanna Bonner, which I know really well, Sophie Cunningham. I mean, it seems like, you know, from the outside, this roster's ready to compete now, which is easy for us to see.
It was impossible to ignore Clark's excitement as the conversation swiftly turned to her goals for her debut season with the Indiana Fever. When Clark discussed working with veterans like Natasha Howard and emphasized how beneficial their leadership and experience would be, he lit up.
Yeah. You have a very short amount of time to put that together, and 7 new pieces, and whether we carry 11 or 12, like, it's more than half of our roster. Like, that's, you know, that's a hard thing within itself, but we should be pretty good. And like, I'm excited about it. I think what we needed was, you know, we added a lot more experience. Like in the playoffs, we just didn't have that. We were young.